This is the Mad Alchemist again, and something that's been on my mind for a few days about how to interact with colleagues, supervisors, mega supervisors, and it relates to religions, especially Christianity and Islam and those desert people religions that are based off of scarcity of resources, and about punishment and vindictiveness, and how it seems to be that their religion has short-wired their brain and their reward system. Like most of us, or at least productive citizens, productive humans, we're rewarded. We create poetry, we create art, we examine the world and figure out why things are the way they are. And it's helpful and it's useful, and we tell stories about it to other people. Their brains reward us for this. And religion, organized religion, especially Christianity and Islam, has short-wired this thing. And they get their reward system out of punishing victims. Taking it out on the little guy. And their brains go, woo! ASMR, automated sensory meridian response. You may think this is make-believe. It might be, but it seems to me to be real. Or at least it's valid as far as observation goes. And how do you deal with this? Because in some circumstances you can just walk away from a person. When you present facts and logic, which is me, I want to ask why. Why is this thing that thing? Can we examine it? Can we take it apart? Can we figure out why it happens? And then what can we learn from this? And the desert people religions are universally opposed to this. It's not about asking questions. And I feel opposed by this. So at work, and you get a coworker, and they're like, well, these Spanish-speaking people, they have two last names, and we need to force them to using both last names. And that seems horrible to me. Like, you're forcing your culture on other people. And they're like, well, the legalities, why do you have two last names on an ID? Well, why do you have a middle name? Like, what's the point of that? So shouldn't we just force everyone to use their middle name on financial transactions? But that's not part of our culture. Except it was back in the day. Let's go Civil War, where you had aliases. So the federal evil government knew you by your first name, but you go by your middle name, or you're Billy Joe Bob or whatever. Doesn't matter. And then you go a step up. We got audited by Home Office, etc. Whatever. What is the greatest crime? What is the greatest form of scam? And I had to say, what really played to the audience. Oh, it must be drugs. Down with drugs. It's not. Addiction is not a crime. People who are addicted to things are victims. They need to be treated. Punishing the victims is satisfying to these people, but it's not helpful in any way. In much of the rest of the German-speaking cultures, advancer cultures, I call them advancer cultures, like, do you use this language to make spaceships with warp engines and photon torpedoes? It's pretty awesome. I want spaceships with FTLs and photon torpedoes, so we can use them defensively. I want to, and I'm watching TOS, the original series Star Trek at the moment, because this is the anniversary, and it's awesome. The amount of equality at the time period is amazing. Women, gender culture. You can have a woman with lots of built-in sunscreen as a command officer. This is revolutionary. And I'm meandering, I understand that. Thus, a small amount of vodka, low cups. I'm Austrian-Hungarian, raised by a bunch of Russian, Polish, German people, so yeah, that's my culture. Jewish by heritage, not by actual belief. Yet, no sky person cares about me personally. That makes no sense at all. But, backtracking here, I want discovery. I want to ask why. Why these things? And is drug use, is this drug trafficking the greatest crime we have to fight? It's not. These are victims of people who have very real problems. They have addictions. They have medical issues that need to be treated. They don't need to be locked up. They need to be given a support group that does not include the AA. Oh my. I am personally responsible for all of my addictions. I drink alcohol. I smoke cigarettes. These things are bad for you in various quantities. But everything I do, I own responsibility for. And this AA thing, where you disassociate responsibility, well, I'm an imperfect being, so my inability to consume alcohol is not my fault. It's because I'm a failed creature created by some mystical sky fairy who can't do anything right. Makes everything I did wrong okay. No, it doesn't. My ability to consume alcohol does not affect my ability to create YouTube videos. It does not interfere with my ability to take care of my obligations. Sometimes it makes me sleep a little bit late, but I like my dreams. So, yeah, whatever. This is probably going to be the longest video I ever make. The important part here is going back to one of my colleagues wants to force other people, Hispanic people, and I'm European myself, Austrian-Hungarian, so I have this really long name with my first name, my middle name, my mother's name, my father's name, my family name. So this whole forcing other cultures into my or your or anyone's cultural thingy is wrong. I tried to explain this to a colleague of mine, completely unsuccessfully. But let's go up a level. This drug thing. So drugs are the most important crime. They're not. Religion is. I think it really is. I think religion, it's like the IRS scam. Pay up, you owe some back taxes, or you're going to jail. But it's more than that. It's pay up or go to hell forever. Or baby Jesus, or zombie Jesus. Actually, I've said zombie Jesus before, but zombies are kind of, they can't think. So let's say Leech Jesus. He has these undead superpowers. Yeah, I touch my face a lot. I'm sorry about that. I'm a touchy person when it pertains to me. Not a touchy person for other people. I'm Austrian Hungarian. We're a culture people. And this is probably longer than anyone will ever watch. So, every culture has its validities, its cultural traits, its heritages. Like some Hispanic people and some Europeans have lots of last names, maybe two. So, like, cousins don't, like, boink each other and have inbred children. But that doesn't justify us forcing American culture to be like, you're gonna use your last name as your last name. And what's most worrying is this kind of really high stratosphere in our corporate lifestyle. It's going to be like, well, let's punish those drug people. When they don't need punishment. That's not their crime. And I was reading earlier today, and I have trouble remembering this name, the World Health Organization for at least 2 years has been trying to decriminalize drugs, because this doesn't do anything. The war on drugs does not work. We've had 30 years, 30 years of this. It doesn't work. Not effective. Does not solve anything. And the global consortium, the World Organization of dealing with drug policy this year has put forward that we need to decriminalize drugs because this war on drugs doesn't work. Punishing people who have addiction does not solve anything. What we need to do is stop punishing the victims, the people with addiction. We need to take all that money used to prosecute, criminalize, put into prisons these victims, and take all of that money and throw it against criminal organizations who use the profit of illegal drugs to fund their craziness. Fuck that craziness. Excuse me, my French. End that craziness. End that criminal cycle. Treat people, don't punish them. If you are I'm gonna bicycle back for a moment. A couple of weeks ago, there's a person in customer service who was like, she wasn't getting whatever it was that she wanted. And she's like, bam, am I the only person who believes in heaven and hell? And I really wanted to say, no, but I really wish you were. This fantasy of the suffering of others, you fantasize that these people who don't give you anything you want, who do not agree with you, are you going to burn in these pits of sulfur and fire. This is mentally disturbing. There's a German word for this, and I'm probably going to mispronounce it. Schadenfreude. I looked up earlier today. It's not a word I'm familiar with, which I'm really glad about. That I'm not really familiar with a word where I'm gonna fantasize about the suffering of others. That's a good thing, I think. That this idea is alien to me, even though I am Austrian-Hungarian, and Germanic languages are intrinsic to me. The idea that taking pleasure in the suffering of others is alien to me is a good thing. That's horrible. Like DSM-4, 5, and probably DSM-6 ascribes this as being a mental illness. Like, you need to seek healthness. You need to go to a physician. If you, and this proverbial you, not you, but those people out there that really are like, whoa, I'm getting off on other people's suffering for eternity in hell. You need a pill or some real psychological help. Please seek that help, because you are harming all of us. But this has gone on long enough, so I'm gonna stop. Bye bye. Or in Russia, Poka.